unbiased secrets and tips for technology. Things that you guys can take back regardless of what website provider that you use. In no way, shape, or form is this a sales pitch, nor will you hear me mention my company's name unless it's in my email. So what we're going to do here is a little bit different than normal. I'm going to kind of hold it somewhat short. I do have live internet in the room, and we are going to go ahead and do some interactive Q&A at the end. So if there's anyone in the room that has questions about their website, would like some tips, a quick little overview. For those of you who have time to stick around, I do know that coming up at 5 is the National Quality Dealer Awards, and I'm sure some of you guys are going to be headed back to get ready. But for those of you who do not have an opportunity, I'd love an opportunity this next following week to meet with you guys. We do free web analysis as well, where we can give you some unbiased opinions on things you can do to improve. And I think that that's what these conferences are about, is things you can take home and put into action, because a great idea without implementation is just a great idea. Who are we? Who's AST? AST is a nationwide software development firm. We're not a marketing company. We saw a problem and decided to go straight to where we felt the solution was needed. Most companies that cater to the automotive marketplace, they're marketing companies. They hire a firm such as myself to build them technology that they can turn around and resell or release to dealers. We wanted to kind of take the middleman out of it. Obviously, in doing so, there's a lot of costs that can be cut back and savings that can be passed down to the client. So what we try to do is to try to provide as AST an affordable solution for independent dealers to actually make a difference in the automotive marketplace. Now, one of the things that separates us from most software development firms is we specialize in the automotive industry, which is something that you do need to take into consideration if you're looking for a firm to build a website for you, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of logs in that path, in that dark forest, that you can trip over halfway down the path. And a lot of companies think that they can actually handle what you need, but if they haven't done it before and haven't a proven success rate, there's a lot of opportunity for error. So that's one of the things that separates us from most companies. One thing that we try to do that's a little bit different than most is we don't charge any monthly fees. A lot of dealers try to hide, or software providers try to hide a lot of fees into their software packages that can confuse dealers. Things that you might not know about that they can get away with. And that's kind of one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is who likes free? Who here lost money and would like to have more? These are things you can implement next week when you get back to your dealership and actually start seeing instant results from. And so that's what we're going to go over today, is free things you can do to help change and improve your business and ultimately improve the bottom line and your ROI. Now, we heavily support the independent automotive community. For those of you who haven't heard of AST, we are actually the team behind NIADA.com, for the National Independent Automobile Dealers Association. For Adam Jones, he's the executive director for Utah. We just actually launched, or actually gearing up to launch, the Utah Independent Automobile Dealers Association. But out of the 32 states that have a state presence, 28 we've actually helped bring up into the forefront. So we do a lot of work and philanthropic efforts with not only the individual states, but on a national level as well. Now, a lot of you guys in this room are probably trying to figure out, what do I do? Sales are down. I'm tired of spending money on advertising. I see advertising dollars going up and I see sales decreasing. Should I even stay in the game anymore? And a lot of it is identifying where your customers went, because there's still fish in that pond, but there's a lot of people that are just fishing in the wrong pond. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in the independent automotive world. I've been exposed to quite a bit, but you got to find out where the fish are to find out where to fish. And that's what we're going to be kind of going over today. Where did everyone go? Now, 2007 was a very unique year. It marked the first year that internet usage surpassed all other shopping methods. All other. Not just one, but all other. A lot of the times, and especially with the title to this year's conference, Back to the Basics, is kind of deceiving on the marketing level, because the basics are what people traditionally know as what I've done in the past. Revert back to the old. That's not the case with internet marketing. 2007 was the first year. Now 2008, which was, 2007 was actually the first year where we started seeing an economic decline in the automotive recession. 2008 marked the highest rate of growth year over year in internet history. So why does everyone have a frown on their face? I'm not making money. Well, you're not going in the right avenues. So you see the highest rate of growth in 2008, but yet people are still kind of afraid of it. Now, as far as the search engines are concerned, this is kind of a neat statistic, and a lot of people, they're programmed otherwise by the constant use of AdWords and pay-per-click campaigns, but 91% of consumers say they will search online prior to coming to an actual dealership to purchase a vehicle. This was in 2010. Now that's 91.4. I'm not talking about 51%. 91.4. That doesn't leave that much of a margin. Now, 9 out of 10 people who bought use the internet as their primary source of information about used cars. Now, you guys should be really excited. I just want to see everyone clap their hands right now. Who here is a franchise dealer? Great. Used cars. You want to know why? MSRP is MSRP is MSRP. People right now, and one of the reasons that Craigslist is so popular is the fact that they can steal the M5 from the guy that's about to go lose his house for a lot cheaper because of all the extra additional options that are on the car. And used cars, people know they can get a better deal for. They can get a better car for a cheaper price. People aren't searching for new franchise stores. They're searching for used cars. And that's one of the things we're going to get into in a little bit is how to optimize your site for those people that are searching, because 9 out of 10 of 91% doesn't leave you with much left over. Now, 79%, which is 4 out of 5 of consumers, use search engines to locate and research auto dealerships, and 72% rely on search engines to help them choose the dealer that they will visit. Cited in 2010. Again, 4 out of 5. You start looking at those numbers, you can draw a curve just like that. Now, we want to talk about some search engine statistics. Obviously, okay, we know they're online. Where are they going? I probably don't even need to show this slide. Who do you think they're going to? Anyone? Google. I personally think Google should run for president this year. I'd probably vote for him. They seem to know all the answers. I can Google it, and they have it. But with this slide, I'll kind of show you. Now, Bing has been doing a pretty aggressive marketing campaign. They changed their name from MSN Live Search to Bing because they wanted to actually come across of Bing it. If you try to say, well, MSN Live Search it, it doesn't really roll off the tongue, and they're trying to kind of go after that market share for Google. But with all they've done, only 5%. Yahoo is actually second with 8%. You got Ask.com, and other includes, Lycos, Alta Vista, some of those other smaller guys there, but 85%. You got to swim where the fish are. Now, I want to go into the first part of if you know that they're there, why would you even want to have a website unless you were trying to target that audience? Now, who in this room has a URL that is the name of their business? Okay, a couple of you guys. Who in here has a URL that actually is a keyword term that they think people would search in the search engine? Okay, that's what you want to do. And we're going to go through this here real quick. What name should I use for my URL? Now, you can have multiple URLs. You can have 12 phone lines ringing to the same phone, but only one of them has value, and that's what you're published to. Now, if somebody has never heard the name of your dealership before, why would they go in and just type that name of your dealership into Google? They wouldn't. It'd be kind of useless. You're going to have to rely at that point on marketing, internet, AdWord campaigns, if that's the case, spray and pray mailers. You spray them out and you pray they don't throw them in the round filing cabinet. The only one that matters is the URL that you're published to. And so one of the things that I would highly suggest doing is if you're in a specific city, the number one search term is used cars. So if you could get a URL of, let's just see, raise a hand. Who you, sir, in the back. What city, or you're there. Where are you located? Santa Rosa, California. I guarantee you right now, if I go to Google and type in used cars, santarosaca.com and GoDaddy, it's available. Buy it. So your competition doesn't if you don't want to use it, number one. But number two, you should probably host your website on that URL, take your business address, and set it up as a redirect or a forward to that site. People that know you, you're handing your business card to them. You've already paid to get them into the doors. Okay, they're going to go to your website typing in that address. And not to get too techie on you, but you can do something called a URL mask, where whatever URL they type in is what they see in the address bar, so it doesn't confuse them. So even though you're on usedcarsantarosa.com, they see your dealership URL because that's what they typed in to get there. But to Google, they know what you do and where you're located, number one, in the domain name. Have you ever Googled something and the number one result is because that domain name matched quite heavily what it is you were searching for? That's the gray area. Okay, so that's where you guys want to be. When times get tough, you got to be creative. There's no white or black, there's a gray area now. So how many URLs should I have? You can have as many as you want, but the only one that has value is the one you're published to. Now there's a large misconception that a lot of dealers go out and they buy keyword-rich URLs, such as what I discussed. However, they just point them to their website, and they spend $5,000 a year renewing them all. That does you about as much good as a white chalk on a white chalkboard. The only way that that person would ever visit your website would be if they physically went to your address bar and typed that in and hit enter. I would not know your phone number, sir, if I met you on the street and tried to guess it. No one's going to do that. People usually use their search box to type things in rather than the address bar. So you can have more. However, if you do choose to have more, what I would recommend would be using microsites or landing pages, or using those for something that exists on that site that would contain what's called a call to action, some sort of button that would say, click here to visit our website, something to get them to your website, because simply buying a URL and pointing to your website doesn't do you too much good. So take a look at your site. You can switch that. It's not too difficult. If you buy a keyword-rich or SEO-rich URL, that does make quite a bit of difference. You still can keep your URL. Just like I said, you can have multiple phone lines ringing to the same phone number. Now, which URL should my website be hosted on? Kind of what I just covered there. You want to make sure your website is hosted on the URL that is keyword-rich. Now, finding a website company. Again, this isn't a glorified pitch for anything we do. I want to tell you guys how to find somebody that's decent. I'll tell you right now, different markets provide different levels of competition. You don't need a Ferrari to beat a horse-drawn carriage around the track. Now, if you're in a market such as Las Vegas, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, some large areas, yes, you do need the Ferrari. There are a lot of companies out there that are very good at what they do, and it's a very high level of competition. But if you live next to the Piedmont of the mountain in Mississippi, you don't need that much power. So what I would suggest doing is researching people in your area. Type in the terms that you want to be found in under. Click on their websites. Find out who they're using. If you don't need a level 10 and you only need a level 5 and they're using a level 4, you're going to be at the head of the game. So you don't need to go out and spend the world on something if you don't need it. That's going to be my first tip of advice. Make time for research. Who here is like me and likes to take everything on themselves and have their hand in every pot and not give any ounce of authority or anything to anyone else? Anybody? All right. I tend to do that. What happens because of that is small amounts of time. If you're going to do research, you need time for it. So if this is important to you and you really want to bring up your sales, you have to make time for research. And it doesn't take too long. You can spread it out throughout your schedule. Make sure you make time, though, because otherwise you're going to jump the gun and make a decision that you probably shouldn't have made, and you can end up doing this, kicking yourself. Talk to at least 5 website companies. Feature and benefit. Feature and benefit. What do you have that I need, and how are you going to help me? You'll get a good understanding. 5's a good number. Dwight? 5. Talk to at least 5 companies because you can't make an uneducated decision. When it comes to the internet, there's a lot of people out there that are doing things, and they're doing things quick, and technology changes fast. If you invest in the wrong company, it can cost you tens of thousands of $20s of thousands of dollars later on down the road. I've seen a lot of companies that are black hat SEO companies, which black hat SEO companies use illegal tactics. And if Google blocks you, your URL is shot. Your server is shot. Your IP address is shot. How much money goes into redoing your marketing materials at that point? You got to make sure you find a legitimate company and to talk to at least 5. Now, lease or own. A lot of companies out there lease websites. A lot of companies out there like us, we sell websites. There's options for all pay ranges from $99 a month from Cars for Sale. Template websites get you up online that can work good in smaller markets, up to companies that charge $5,000 a month. So you kind of got to find out what is in your range, and that's one of the reasons why you need to talk to at least 5. Now, how much will SEO actually get you? Now, one thing that I want to stamp in your guys' head as much as possible is everybody claims to have SEO. How many bad car dealers do you know? Anybody have a bad car dealer in our town that takes money from people and has a bad reputation? There's one in every city. There's also technology companies that do the same thing. The analogy I like to give is like a recipe. You could put a pinch of salt in something and say, oh, there's salt in it. Or you could sell somebody a bag of salt. A lot of people claim one of the first things that I look for personally is people that offer AdWord campaigns. Does anyone know what an AdWord campaign is in this room? Google AdWords or pay-per-click. If their SEO is so great, why do they need to supplement it? Oh, well, we do great SEO, but just in case we don't do good SEO, we have something set up for you. And here's our cost sheet, one of the first identifiers. Now, show me the results. What I suggest is when you're interviewing these 5 companies, ask them for a list of search results of a client to prove that it works. Now, one of the things you're probably going to want to write down that's not in the documentation here, and one thing you want to look for is every time you Google something, there is a number at the top of the Google search. It shows you how many results you're competing with. In your market, if you typed in used cars Santa Rosa, California, you'd be able to say, okay, there's 2 million results here. Hey, company, show me a client that is competing with 2 million results where they're number 1. That's what it is. It's a numbers game. It's not that any word is of a lesser value or more value. It's the results you're competing with. You can ask 12 people what 1 plus 2 means, and they're going to tell you 3. Well, unless it's an accountant, sometimes they can kind of change that number a little bit for you. But show me the results. If there's 200,000 people in your town, that's what you want to find out. Show me results of a client who you've gotten good SEO results for that have a higher level than 200,000, so I know that you can actually do that for me. Because a lot of people just think, oh, okay, they show me a guy. Well, was there 8,000 results? Was it a tiny little guy that there's no one competing with him in their town? Or was it in a large city, in a city enough to actually produce results for me? Now, I want to talk about adding photos. Because you can get somebody to a website, but that doesn't mean they're going to buy. There's a couple key factors on things you can do to improve your websites that are pretty simple. How many photos can I have? Who here uses 9 photos? I'm sure if I actually reviewed your guys' website, I'd be able to find quite a few. A lot of people use 9 photos. Why? Well, that's what AutoTrader and Cars.com accept. On their low packages, you can only have 9. People want to see more. If you're trying to bring in people from a larger market area and they don't see enough of the car, they're not going to want to come in. You can have more than 9 photos. Now, if your website provider is sending those photographs to AutoTrader, Cars, OVE, Cars for Sale, any types of listing services that you're using, they're going to cut you off at 9, and they'll take that first 9, but that doesn't mean that you can't have more on your website. You want to make sure that you have the ability now more than ever to expand to a broader market. And if somebody's going to spend $40 in their gas-guzzling SUV to come down to your lot, they want to see more of the car. I have clients that do close-ups on doorknobs. I have clients that put brush marks, fake brush marks in their floor mats, so that way when they take the pictures, you can see how clean that car is. And I've had clients drive from 3 states away to pick up cars. And I'm not talking about specialty vehicles. I'm talking about 2004 Dodge Neons and Hyundai Elantras, okay? Put more photos on your website. It's going to help. It's going to provide visuals. One other thing that it's going to help do is keep people on your website longer. There's something that Google looks at called your bounce rate. It's kind of like phone tracking. How long were they on the website for? They typed in this term, but they only stayed on the website for 5 seconds. That leads me to believe that they did not have what the consumer was looking for. So next time the consumer is looking for this, I'm not going to go ahead and put them in the top, because obviously they didn't have what the consumer was looking for. If you can keep them on your website for more than 30 seconds, perfect. Videos are also great for that. But the more photos you have, if they click on a photo slideshow and it doesn't end after three to 9 photos, you're going to keep them on your website longer. Now, you can't really have too many. I mean, you don't want to go overkill and waste time of the people that are taking the photographs. Now, a lot of you guys in the room might use services that come out. vAuto, I know, offers services where they take photos. Dealer Specialties, they'll come out to your lot, take photos. I would highly recommend auditing what they're doing for you. A lot of companies out there have the ability to data farm your data, and I will tell you, there is nobody like you that knows your market better than you. And somebody that's getting paid $9 an hour to come to your lot and just snap some photos real quick isn't going to do as good of a job. And if you can actually set up a type of uniform program. I mean, I had a guy that painted the back wall of his lot bright green, like a green screen. Cheapest photo booth you can ever get. I've had guys spend $100,000 building a photo booth, and I can tell you the green screen held a pretty good high candle to what he was doing. He puts it under there, he takes the photographs, he runs it through to the rest, puts the video online, video walk around. To do 25 photos, a video, and a test drive, which is something that some of my clients are starting to do, where they actually physically drive the car, and they have somebody in the passenger seat, and they rev that motor, and they get that guy excited about that car and putting it on the website. Takes less than 5 minutes. You can get it down to a science as long as there's routine and structure in what you're doing. And I'll tell you, in the off time, that person can answer phones, can work your stuff, try to figure out a way to see if it makes sense to alleviate those types of things and put them back into your dealership. Because without structure, there's just random chaos. Now, how should I take or set up my photos? That was kind of what I just went into right there, just making sure that you have a structure in place for it. Should I show vehicle flaws? Yes. You don't want to build a bad reputation. Sometimes the car that's priced as cheap as it is, because there's a flaw, people need to see it. Straight up, an honest salesman will make more money than a dishonest salesman. They'll get a better reputation, and you can actually give the warm and fuzzies to your current clients, which is going to alleviate any negative reports. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people out there that leaving negative reports online. You got people like DealerRater that are here. What do you think they're rating? You know, people usually, I'd say 8 out of 10 from the research I've done, are more prone to go on a rating site and rate a negative report than they are from putting a positive report online. Unless you're offering them a in-house dealership coupon, kickback, gas card, something. And that's something that you can do if you are starting to have negative reputations. Make sure that you take advantage of that at the dealership and have them fill it out. Sign in their account, push the laptop or iPad in front of them, get them to do it. Because 10 goods outweigh 1 bad. And that's kind of the philosophy you want to look at when you're going for that. Now, renaming your vehicle photos. Who here takes their own photos? Anybody? Okay. Now, your camera will automatically assign random numbers and letters to your photographs. How does Google know what Q549675.jpg is? There is no way they will know what that is. But if you can rename that photograph, 2005 Ford F-250, Santa Rosa, California, photo number 1, stock number, .jpg, or actually it assigns that for you. Photo number 2, photo number 3. Takes a little bit more time, but Google also owns something called Google Images, and it can correlate that information. Now, if the page on your website says 2005 Ford F-250 Santa Rosa, California 10 times and your competition doesn't have any on it, who do you think is going to show up higher in Google? You. Now, we build stuff with our software that kind of does these types of things for you, and you don't need to do it on all 45 photographs, but if you at least did it a couple times, 3 or 4 or 5 times, for the first couple pictures of the car, it means all the difference in the world. Now, adding content. This is one of the biggest things that I see. People sign up with a web company. They launch them online. We're done. Okay. Well, have fun. You have to add content to your website. Google is looking at your site every single week. They want to look for fresh content and content that matches what you say you have. If you sell used cars in Santa Rosa, California, you need to have the words used cars, Santa Rosa, California within your website frequently. Hi, I'm dealership ABC dealership. We have the best used cars in Santa Rosa, California. If you're looking for a used car in Santa Rosa, California, then look no further. In addition to used cars, used trucks, used vans, used SUVs, sedans, 4x4, and all-wheel drive pickup trucks, we have the highest selection in Santa Rosa, California. Make your next used car purchase at ABC dealership in Santa Rosa, California. Now, did you see what I just did there? I used grammatical English language and I keyword stuffed those terms multiple times within the site. That's what Google's looking for. What do you think a search engine looks for? What do you type into a search engine? Anyone? A word? What do you think it's trying to match on your website? Words. Now, there's a keyboard shortcut on your computer called, we'll find, but Control F will pop up a little box. You can type in a word and hit highlight all. It'll go, it'll highlight all the words. So if you type in used, hit highlight all on your website, it'll show you how many times you have it. Cars, how many times you have it. Santa Rosa, California, how many times you have it. Find out. If you have 5, add 6. If you have 6, add 7. You can't improve upon anything unless you analyze what you have. And if anyone tells you you need something, try to make sure that they know what you're using first, because you can't improve upon anything unless you know what it is you're looking for. Fresh new web content. The search engines, again, they're visiting your site every single week. Having things like blogs in your website, they're free. Blogger, WordPress, some websites have blogs built in. Make sure you're utilizing those. If you're having a sale each week, whatever you're doing, make sure that we can actually go through and have that information on your site. Again, they're looking for words. Automotive-related content and fresh content means that it's ran by a human, and those sites get better credit. What content should I include? Keyword-dense content, locality content, what you do and where you're located, what you do and where you're located, what you do and where you're located. I want to write that down. What you do and where you're located. That's how they're going to put you there when someone types in what they're looking for and where they're trying to locate it. Now, mobile websites. This is something, there's a lot of companies out there that you can sign up with that will actually provide you a mobile website at inexpensive cost. There's a lot that are highly expensive depending upon what your needs are. Again, same type of an option. Make sure that you shop at least 5 companies in doing this. A lot of the sites that are out there and companies that are out there know that this is important, and most of you guys probably have something built into your website that does this for you. But I wanted to put some statistics in here. Mobile browser usage grew 1,000% between February 2009 and August of 2011. Now, we don't have 2012 stats yet because the year's still happening, but I can guarantee you it's going to be probably twice that, and 1,000% is a lot. 88% of mobile users are more likely to buy from a dealer with mobile optimized site. Now, that kind of shocked me. I was reviewing mobile usage statistics for all lines of industry, and guess who was number 1? Auto dealers. 88%. You guys in this room are very lucky because used car terms are the most searched and your industry has the highest level. So make sure that you at least look into it, because that's a very large missing piece of the pie that you could be collecting on. Now, by 2013, they suspected more people will use mobile devices to browse the web than computers. And we all see it happen in iPads. You got the AT&T Galaxy Note. It's got a little stylus pen. It's about 7 inches. It's faster than my laptop. They're getting smaller. They're getting faster. They're becoming more mobile. People are starting to use their mobile devices for banking and everything else. And one of those pieces that comes out is the glue that sticks them to it. And that glue that sticks them to that highly benefits you guys, because that 91.5% of the search is now transferred over from that to that. So you want to make sure that you at least gauge and look into it, because at the way that the curve's going, laptop and normal computer statistics could fall off and you can see a large shift. And you want to be first in line. You don't want to be at the back of the bus. Now, another thing you can do to gain money in a down economy is mass email distribution. Does anyone here use any sort of mass email distribution service, Constant Contact, Postal Parrot, Vertical Response? It's great. you put in one thing and you hit doop, and you got thousands of people. Who here guards their black book like their life for their dealership? That is where your money's at. Those are your customers, okay? Don't forget about them. It costs more to gain a new customer than it does to retain a current customer. Does anyone in here send out birthday reminders? Does anyone here send out service reminders? Does anyone in here send out reminders when the client is within 12 payments from paying off their car? I mean, for buy here, pay here customers especially. You got to make sure that you put those guys back into a new car. And I'll tell you, $39.95 a month, 5 cents an email, whatever the case may be. There's companies out there that give you free trials. I guarantee try it. On a free trial, you will sell an additional 5 cars this next month if your campaign that you launch is planned out. And there's some sort of incentive, and there's some sort of refer a friend. How many people here have clients that love them? How many of them would gladly, if you ask them, refer somebody to you? Well, great. Refer somebody to me that buys, and I'll send you a $100 gas card. I'll do something, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you're utilizing the diamonds that are already in your backyard before you go start hunting for more. And that's what I'm talking about here. Am I maximizing my little black book? Now, should I use my own URL and server for mass email? I would highly recommend you use a service. If you go in and start using your Outlook or your Mozilla Thunderbird or any sort of program, what's going to happen is people that do not want to receive those messages are going to hit spam. Spam, 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 because they don't want them to show up in their inbox. And that's going to get your URL listed as a spam server. Takes a lot of information. Now, any client you've ever had that has Hotmail, if a person that receives that email with a Hotmail address is marked as spam, have fun sending them their past due invoice. They're not going to get it. It's very good to use a separate company that is compliant in the industry, that has an opt-out for it. It's definitely worth the $39, $49. And again, there's some free services out there as well that you can do this through. But make sure that you're using up everything that you can. If sales decrease 40% and you can increase 45%, there is not a drought. You're actually improving each and every day. Should I contact my clients for special occasions? Yes. There are a lot of affordable CRM companies out there, guys. As a technology expert, I view a lot of them, and I will tell you, there are so many missing sales that are left on the table because your salespeople do not like technology, they do not embrace technology, you do not have a system in place, and the person that they called said they weren't interested, and your salesman did one of these, threw it in the garbage can. Make sure there's a lot of stuff left on the table, and CRM services are out there. There's several that are here that I would highly recommend, from several hundred to, depending upon the size of your dealership and locations. Make sure you're getting everything out of your leads. You spend a lot of money on a lot of advertising sources, radio, commercials, TV, eBay. If you're not actually maximizing 100% out of those leads, there's a lot of paper left on that table. Now, SEO versus SEM, I just want to get to this real quick. SEM, again, it's paid rankings, paid results. You're paying for the search in the search engine. Again, I'm going to go back to what we were talking about initially, 91.4%. Start with the search engines. SEO is search engine optimization, long-term solutions. What is SEM? Here's a screenshot. This is one of my clients, Andy Gabler. He's up in Erie, Pennsylvania. He's up for the Dealer of the Year award tonight, so I'm hoping he gets it. He's a great client. One of the terms he wanted to be found in under was auto loans. Erie, Pennsylvania. Now you'll see you got, and these are auto loan terms, but you got Bank of America right here, trying to buy that term. Why would they buy a term if it wasn't producing results? I don't know. It seems like it would be something they wanted to do. Pay-per-click. You put $1,000 in the account, 20 cents a click. As soon as you run out, pull you out, throw in the next guy. SEO, which would be the top result, 1 through 10, you're there because you belong to be there. No one can kick you out of that. So it does take some time and investment and money, and some of the tips we're going to go through real quick will show you how to get there. Now, SEO, the green area, 1 through 10, that's organic. So when we refer to organic search terms, why wouldn't you want to find out what you can get naturally without having to pay for it And then, if it isn't enough, or it is enough, then determine how much you want to spend for it. To me, that only makes logical sense. Why do I need to pay for something if I can get it organically? Now, some SEO statistics real quick. 87% of all search come from organic search, not pay-per-click. And again, that's a very, very high number, and a lot of people don't know that. If I do a search right now, I guarantee you for a flower shop, I would have cake shops advertising on the right-hand side, because flowers and cakes, or weddings, or things that are unrelated to what I'm searching for that can correlate with what I'm searching for would be there. And we're dealing with a more savvy consumer. It used to be a flip-flop. It used to be that people are, oh, number one, I'm clicking it. I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to close my eyes and click, click, click. Wherever I go, I go. People are dealing with a more savvy consumer. Nearly half the search engine users who continued their search engine processes changed their search terms or search engines after reviewing the first page results. What that means is if people don't see what they're looking for on the first page, they don't go to page 2. They type in something different and they hit search again. Or if they have no results with that, they go to a different search engine, from Bing to Yahoo to Google, and they try, okay, I'm going to try a different search engine to see what I can find. If you're not on the first page, you're not found. Now, marketers who hire an out-of-house organic search SEO expert report a 110% jump in site traffic versus 38% of those who do SEO in-house. Yet only 26 of the marketers have outsourced organic search to an expert firm. I was kind of shocked by this. I would not hire somebody who did not know how to work on a car to take apart my engine. And I'm sure that you guys would probably feel the same way. Yet, everybody has an IT guy at their dealership that they put this onto, which usually is 10-car Tom, who they didn't fire because he's been there for 15 years, and they decided to make him the internet manager. Unfortunately, that's how it usually turns out. And I highly suggest finding somebody who is qualified for the job to do it. Because a lot of people say, oh, he can just do it for me. And I'll tell you, again, there's two types of SEO. White hat SEO, which is following the rules. Black hat SEO, quick, dirty, cheap shortcuts that'll get you there temporarily, and they're going to kick you out and block you forever. If you have a lot of money and time invested in your marketing, your URL, you want to make sure that you research, again, make sure that you have quality people there for it. Now, some tips for success here. This is where you want to flip over your information and grab your pen. This is why I drank 7 cups of coffee today. I'm going to start rambling here real quick. Properly written metadata. If you don't know what it is, if you're paying money for a website provider, they will. Metadata, or your meta title, is like what a book title is to a book. It says, hey Google, this is what my website is about. You should probably have the words used cars, the city you're in, Santa Rosa, California, things like that within your meta titles. I reviewed one client's site, and he was in Illinois, and the company that put him up were using Kentucky terms for 4 years. I felt bad. He was paying $400 a month. He got it changed pretty quick, though. But there are companies, find out where you're pointing. Where's your compass pointing? So properly written metadata, you want to make sure that you're telling the search engines where you are, where you're located, surrounding cities, where you want to pull traffic in from. Now, one thing I'll have you write down here real quick is the number 255 to 400. You can use up to 255 to 400 letters. Each letter is considered a character. Each space is a character. Each comma is a character. You can use up to 400. One of the most frequently things that I see is I go to a site and I look at their metadata and I find out they're using 7 things. It's like, oh, that's great. You're not capitalizing. You're not using up what you could be using. Max out what you can, find your organics, and then go into the paid. Unique meta tags for every page. Now, your application page should have terms about your credit applications on it. Bad credit auto loans, no credit auto loans, guaranteed auto approval, credit approval, things of that nature. Each page on your website should have a title like a book has a title, and they each need to be unique. Who here would buy a 200-page book, flip it to the first page, read the page, find out it said the same thing as the second page and the third page and the fourth page and the fifth page, and read all the way through to the end? You wouldn't do that. You'd put the book down. Google does the same thing. Make sure every page of your site says what's on that page. If it's a page for referring a friend, make sure there's information about referring a friend or some sort of program. Now, H1 through H6 tags. With the handouts I gave, all this information's in there, and it's written in layman's terms. You guys should understand it. Basically, what an H1 through H6 tag is it's a type of HTML code you can put around specific terms. It says, Google, this is the next most important thing on this page. This is the next most important thing on the page. This is the next most important thing. This is the next. So if you tell them what's the next most important, if you use H1 through H6 tags around specific keywords like used cars Santa Rosa, if you put those tags around those terms, Google will read your meta title and say, okay, he's telling me he sells used cars in Santa Rosa, California. Then they're going to read used cars Santa Rosa, California through the H1 through H6 tags. Then they're going to scan your content. If you don't use those tags, they're just going to go straight from your titles to your scanning your content. But you can control what Google knows is next most important by using H1 through H6 tags. It's in there. My office line's in there. I usually work 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, so I can kind of help you guys individually go over this if you'd like, and I'd love to help you guys out. But that's what that is. It is somewhat a little bit more confusing than most of this information, but business location information, you want to make sure that your address information is on the page. A lot of companies out there use Flash, but they don't use it correctly. They'll take an image and put your address information inside the image. The search engines cannot read that. All they know is that it's like a picture. So unless your address information is listed in a text format on your website, they don't know that it's there. So make sure that your business location information is found on your website and possibly in more than one place multiple times. Because if you're trying to beat your competitor, it's almost like Price is Right or reverse philosophy. They bet 1,500, you bet 1,501. They got it one time, I'm putting it twice. They got it two, I'm putting it three. Clearly written web page content. You cannot spam. You can't put used car Santa Rosa, used car Santa Rosa, used car Santa Rosa, used car Santa Rosa, and get away with it. They will block you. But in the example or analogy I gave before, using grammatical English language, welcome to our dealership. We have the best used cars here. We serve used cars for not only this city, but surrounding cities. Make your next used car purchase at our dealership. You can do that. It's called keyword stuffing or keyword density. But you want to make sure you have clearly written page content. You got to write this content as you're writing an essay. And I know that everyone hates high school and college for one fact. It's writing thesis papers and essays on stuff. But take that out of the locker there. You got to get back into it. You can assign it to somebody. You can do it yourself. But make sure that what you want Google to find you under is on your website. Now, page count and density. I will tell you real quick, and it's pretty simple. Each page on your website gets a grade like a teacher was grading a paper. Your home page might have a lot of keyword density to it and might get an A. You might have one page about credit applications that doesn't even say the word credit or application on it, so it gets an F. Your service department page might get a C. Well, your whole website's going to get a grade which is an average of all of those combined. So you want to make sure that you don't just do this on your home page, you follow all the way through. Now, proper web publishing procedures, if you have a legitimate website company that you're using, they probably took care of this for you, but submitting your website to Google. If you had an accountant that has never looked at your bank account, do you know how much money's in it? I wouldn't. Now, unless the search engines review your site, they don't know what you have. And if you don't know, you can force it. You can type into Google, which will tell you the results for anything, add my URL to Google. The first link, click on it. Type your website address in. It has a spot where you can tell them what you're about. It'll force them to come there. I would highly recommend doing that after you make these changes so they're not coming and grading you down here when they could be grading you up here. Internal link structuring. This can help making sure that if there are terms that say, like, let's say, used SUVs within like a paragraph. We have the best US SUVs in Santa Rosa. You could take used SUVs, turn that into a link, and link that to your SUVs. You're providing internal linking, so when Google crawls you, they say, oh, I know everything that this guy has, and it's very easy. So if you look at your words and you say, okay, well, the words, we're located at, boom, create a link, link that to your locations page. Internal linking helps Google read through your site quicker. The quicker they can get in and out of your site, the better they're going to grade you. If they have to spend 3 hours reviewing your site each time they come, they are not going to want to come back as frequent. External link structuring, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, if anyone still uses those guys. Any type of third-party services, make sure you're linking to and from. You're doing internal linking on each side and external linking on each side. Links create value. Links within the same industry create value. You can't link a flower shop to a car dealer site and think that it's going to do anything. But if you have an Auto Trader account or a carsforsale.com account or a cars.com account, linking those to and from your website and linking the third-party resources back to your own website, it creates internal and external link structuring. Now, I just want to show you something real quick here. I know we're getting close to the end of the class. This is what you guys want to shoot for. You'll notice at the top, the number one result is 56.36%. Not everyone clicks on the number one link, but 56% do. Now, number two, you got 13.45, and by number three, you're already below 10%. Now, that makes up over 70%, just the top three. Well, 30% isn't that much left. Now, if you're on the front page and you think that that's good, it's not as good as being in the top three. So this is your demographic. You cannot hit a target unless you know what you're aiming for. You can't improve upon something unless you know what you're currently working with and what you can do to improve. 5 questions real quick to ask your website provider. Do I own my own domain name? I highly suggest, and don't do this right before you're about to cancel the company because sometimes they freak out and they won't give it to you, but your domain name is probably on your business information. You want to make sure that it's in your control. It's free to create a GoDaddy account. Create an account. They can transfer it to you. It's free, or it should be free for you. Make sure it's in your ownership. If something ever happens, you want to make sure you have it. How much am I being charged for hosting? A lot of companies out there allow other companies to host their platforms. I've seen companies getting charged $500 a month for hosting. Some people don't know what it is. Okay, host me. Here's my credit card. Hosting should only cost between $15 to $40 a month at the highest level. And I'm talking servers that will just run circles around anything. So if you're getting charged more than that, find out what it's for, and if you are paying something, what you're getting paid for, and if you can transfer to a different company, what their options are. Do I get automatic updates? I saw a client, not to name too many names, but I saw a client that was paying about $500 a month with a very reputable company that had probably one of those extravagant booths that I've ever seen at NIADA this year, who had a very old site that had been last updated in 2005. And he was paying the same price that if a dealer signed up today would pay for. They have updates available. If you ask, you shall receive. Find out if they have a version that you can get, because technology changes really quick, guys. And if you don't ask, if the squeaky wheel gets the grease, make sure that for what you're paying for, you're getting the maximum result if you are paying. When was the last time they did a site review? You should be able to request a site review from your web company. Show me where I'm at. If you're claiming that I'm paying for SEO services, can you provide me a list and show me where I'm at? What am I paying for? Again, that's a quick way to get the results. You can find out where you're at, document those, make these changes so you know what the effect was from what you've implemented. And end on this. If you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby. Now, I have my contact information up here. It's on the business cards. My name is Michael Jackson. My direct office line, email, website. One of the things I do for the NIADA as well as Georgia with being the head of education is I like to help. If there's anything we can do to help you guys out, we do free website analysis. We have a crawling tool that can crawl through your website and actually very quickly identify problems, solutions, ways to improve. And I'd love to speak with each and every one of you guys here in this room. So with that, I guess, real quick, I know we covered quite a bit.